Easy Conversations. Very excited. You guys can see I'm wearing my traditional way to close off Heritage Month properly. The sound, there's a bit of a noise in the background. If you can't hear us, please do put a comment. We'll try to either speak louder or we'll try to make sure that we do something. Today I have Mr. Jabulane Selumane.
Jabulane Selumane.
Oh.
Take the Mr. away.
Oh, Mr. Winter. Just to Jabu is the CEO of AITF, which is the Automotive Industry Transformation Fund. I'll let you tell us the exciting things that you will be doing as part of the introduction.
Okay. So as Mponeng has said, my name is Mponeng Seshea. So my name is Jabulane Selumane. I'm from Pretoria. Born and raised there. Left when I was about 15. We'll touch on that story, which ties up nicely in the conversation. I currently work in the automotive industry space. I'm the chief servant of the AITF, Automotive Industry Transformation Fund, which is set up really to usher a new pathway for the black entrepreneurs to be brought into the automotive sector's value chain. Because what we identified in our market is that in order for us to create a viable economy, it's important that we integrate those that are technically excluded, those that are previously and historically disadvantaged, and just plug them into the value chain of the automotive sector as a way to, I think, see how best we can contribute into the economy, because the more you have others, which are a majority of the country, excluded from the economy, the more you do not have the right dynamics and fluid of the economic structures. So for us, we've got interest as the automotive sector to ensure that we plug in the right demographics into the profiles of those that are going to be participating in the future.
And what I like about what you guys are doing is that you're not trying to take away from, you're just trying to add on. You know what I mean? So you give us the head, give us the automotive sector, but you're like, okay, this is where we are. How do we make sure that the smaller players are able to plug and play in that bigger?
I think what is important to note is, obviously, there's a historical context into why black people in general are technically excluded. I will not go deep into that, but I think South Africa is at a place where our economic indicators are really, I think, outlining where we are, and we are continuing to see a shrinkage of the pie that we all eat into. And I think the most effective way, I believe, to be able to, I think, have meaningful contribution that could assist everybody is to go towards inclusive growth, create opportunities that grow the size of the pie, so that as you go on, you include new people that have been excluded and so on. So it's important that you look at the viability and sustainability of an economy rests upon the fact that you do need small, medium enterprises playing a key role in different tiers of different value chains of the economies and so on. So for our industry, we've identified that there's a definite need to plug in small business owners, particularly black, into our value chain.
Amazing word, which I think does tie in very nicely to today's topic. Our topic today is chasing the unknown, which is big. This is a big topic. I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, so when I was doing business coaching in the guy would say when we're doing like mission statements or vision statements, like, we try to come up with these beautiful words, and it's like, no, unpack. this is a suitcase. You need to unpack what is it that you're trying to tell me. So let's unpack. Who is this topic? What's the context?
Well, the context is, and I'm a very strong believer in, we must tell our own stories, because our own stories, they shape the kind of people that we are. And I think we are all wired and made differently and have different experiences. And I think the best way to enable someone who is perhaps looking up to you is to always tell your own side of the story, how you experienced it. And I believe that is the best form of actually providing leadership. A journey that you may have taken, you know, to perhaps overcome certain barriers in your life, or you found opportunities, or you know, there were lessons that you had to collect along the way. All of that, I think, makes up and gives you an experience that you need to share as a storyline, than to always repeat what you've had elsewhere as a story that you've heard from someone and so on. So I hope that by sharing my own personal story, which really talks to chasing the unknowns, because I think it's a journey that started from me leaving home from a very young age because of a circumstance that I was faced with.
Yeah.
So I had to pursue and chase the unknown because I didn't know what was on the other side. I was young, I was 15 and so on. So that's where the background of...
You left home when you were 15.
Yes.
15 years old. You were like, I am taking this and I'm going, and look at you now. What was the thinking though? Where again? Was it just like an unknown? What was going on in your mind?
I've always been an inquisitive child. I've always wondered what's on the other side.
Yeah.
And I've always been uncomfortable with the idea of, you know, not being comfortable. I hate to be comfortable. Because I've always believed in order for you to meaningfully add into any form of space value, you need to be capacitated. And the only way you can be capacitated is through you exposing yourself, you know, in different unknown space, unfamiliar territory, because it's the only way in which you are able to adapt, learn, and adjust to new territories. That shapes who you are. That way, you know, you find yourself being able to deposit into different spaces, I think, the knowledge that you then carry. So, but it never ends because you're always chasing to learn, to evolve.
And the chasing, I think, speaks to you're always evolving, exactly. Yes. And I think the more what I've realized in the past couple of years is that the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. So the more I'm like, okay, you know, someone actually made it very easy. It's like this, your windscreen, those are the things that you know. And then there's like your driving terms, not side mirrors, blind spot. There's the blind spot. So those are things you know you don't know. You know, and then the stuff is that you don't even know you don't know. And the only way you keep getting there is by being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable with the fact that this can't be it. I think for me it was that, and I mean one of the reasons why I jumped into business was like, this can't be it. This, how do I eventually get to where I am comfortable? Not there yet. But that push to be like, there must be more.
I think also an element of the spirit of questioning is key to it all, because if you do not always consume what has been given, but you also in return inquire how it can be better, this allows you to always assume a position of moving from a place of humility and moving from a place of arrogance. Because, you know, sometimes our normal positioning of ourselves is that whatever we've been fed with love, we rarely, I think, get to a state of mind where we dig deeper to process. We respond from what we've been fed, we respond from the knowledge we have, and we think it's enough to recreate, but it's not. in order to recreate, you need to be able to question. You need to be able to be fascinated about what not only you're seeing, but what is on the other side. In order to allow yourself to can have the ability to want to open and see what's on the other side and continue to open as you go on. Because all of these shapes, that you usher new paths, open doors that have never been opened. Enough for those that are following suit to be able to come behind you and follow you. And that is why I believe the spirit of questioning allows you to position yourself to question and pursue that.
The fear in the unknown, the fear in the next step you're about to take and you don't know where it's going to take you to. How do you put this in the bigger context? Because I really think that the reason why people remain complacent is because they're scared. They're scared of what they don't know. I mean, that's a big thing, the fear of the unknown. And you are basically telling me that no, you must be comfortable with the unknown.
I think, look, honestly, what we don't appreciate enough is that we are already scared. When I say we are already scared, we are scared of things that we don't know, like when we're going to die. When you think about the idea, it scares you. But equally, you don't know when you're going to be successful. Right? And you wonder, is it going to happen next year or this year? Oh, I was planning that something happens in 2020, then it changed. So we are already scared from many different, areas of our lives for things that we don't have certainty on. And if you're already scared, I don't see why you need to be scared on pursuing the short-term activities that unlock the long-term.
And it's the short-term, right? Maybe that's how people should be thinking about it. Is just the next one.
Living for today, opening doors for yourself for today. It's enough. It does something for you next week. I'm a best believer of you need both good and bad in order for you to be shaped. Because both is good for you.
Both good and bad.
Both good and bad. So for me is we always celebrate what we aspire to be good, because the technical definition of good is exactly what we've defined it to be good, relative to ourselves and as perceived by others sometimes.
Yes.
The technical term of bad is what doesn't sit well with us, maybe from a principle point of view.
But also defined by others.
Defined by others as bad.
Yes.
But I think both happens in your life and will continue to happen in your life. Because I don't think you have control of that happening, because you're not living in your own space, right?
Yeah.
You live in a world where there's other participants, other objects, many different things around you, which because of certain definitions, someone's good could be bad for you. Someone's bad could be good for you. So if you're not looking at it from a selfish point of view, you appreciate both, because you have to live with it. Because it allows your view and your perspective to be shaped in such a manner that you accept, first of all, that it's not perfect. You accept that it's all towards, unlocking some of the things that are unknown to you and are unfamiliar. And until such a time you accept that you need to live with both. You always shy away from pursuing other things because you're scared you could run into bad. It limits you as a person. So I think an appreciation of both, I think, is what allows you to be able to chase the unknowns. And as I said, we are already scared, but we are not tapping into our element and side of being scared. Why? Because it's far-fetched.
So basically, what you're saying is you must be comfortable in your scaredness. I know my sister always says this. She always says, feel the fear, do it anyway. And I know I say this to my kids, to be like, I know it's scary, and I know if you don't want to do it, but maybe try. Try a little bit and then try again a little bit tomorrow. So it's That's basically what you're saying, Wuri. Even when you were leaving home,
Yes.
chasing whatever you didn't know you were chasing.
Yes.
Did you have an idea, by the way, of what you were doing?
I
Did
didn't.
you have this vision of one day you will be Mr. CEO? Or were you just
Well,
like, as he
But for some fun reason, those that are very close to me, they know. I don't consider myself Mr. CEO, first of all.
I know, they're like,
I am. Look, I think from a young age, there was no telling how the story was going to unfold. I think this is what I'm trying to, I think elaborate on. You never know what is it that is going to come. Anyway, we don't know. We don't know when we're going to be hurt. We don't know when we're going to hurt, be injured, get into an accident. You don't know those things. You could have a behavior that ends up perpetuating and leading into that, but you don't know when it's going to actually happen. And you don't know when your success is going to come. Those things are unknown factors. All you can simply, what you are in control of are the decisions you make in the present, which is to decide what to go and pursue.
yes.
And I think when I was 15 years old, I was confronted with a very personal situation. I lost my father. My mother had always been a stay-home mom. So after we lost our dad, my mom says, you know what, just like your older brother, consider looking for a job. A shop right checkers, for example, my older brother was working there. And I remember it was on a Saturday. I went looking for employment. I was going to turn 16 in that year, so back in the day, in the 90s, they didn't care about the right age for you to work. I don't think there was an enforcement of the Labor Act at the time because of where we were coming from. So I got a job at Suits for Heaven. Like we normally at the movie house where they shop that sells suits. And it was on a Saturday, and they said on Monday you need to start. Right? So Monday meant I stopped going to school and I go to work. And because I have always been a kid that questions a lot, inquisitive mind, asking myself, is this enough? I remember standing outside of, then it was the RDP house, sitting at the gate and then just looking at the house. And I remember one thing, I said to myself, but this is not my house. This is the life that my father and my mother had for themselves, and as a result we were born into it. And I said, but this is not me. Whatever happens, I'm going to pursue anything but this, because this is not for me. If I go and work, I'm feeding into this, and this is not for me. Right? So there used to be this other minibus branded with the soccer name, and I thought I had that in mind. I said that's my ticket. I used to be a very good soccer player. So I said on a Monday I'll wait for this taxi to come, and I will chase it. Until it stops, I will try and do whatever I do to grab their attention. Yeah. And Monday, I remember after school, wearing my shorts. My father, I didn't have a lot of, clothes and shoes, so I was wearing the shoes that my father had left for me, sneakers, big size 10, and I was then size maybe 3 or so, or 4, somewhere there. So it was a big shoe, I remember. So here am I, waiting for this taxi, and exactly at about 4:30 it passes me. Hey, I jump, and this guy wave, and the driver says, hey, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I know you guys have got a second division soccer team, like semi-pro, in a different province, but it's not too far from where we stay, but it's in the northwest. And I said, all I'm asking for is for you to drop me off so that I can try. Right? He said, no, but they're not going to allow you because the son players, and we're still young. Just go back home. And I cried. I said, no, I'm not going back there. And I have my own Pick n Pay plastic that time. And I've packed. I'm not going back home. So for me, never ever going back home. Well, he puts me in a taxi, go in that minibus, and he drops me off. So when I get there, the coach says to me, so all this time, I'm just chasing. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a bag. I'm saying, I'm not going back home. That's what I know.
That's all you know.
Yeah. What I don't know is how it's going to work out. So I get there, and I asked the coach who was training the guys, and I said, all I'm asking for is 5 to 10 minutes. I don't need to change anything. Like this, I get in. And that guy says, and you can see I'm teary and so on. So he's feeling sorry for me. Like, I don't think you are ready, but let's just get in. 7 minutes later, this guy calls me. And I'm thinking, I'm gone. And he says to me, go to that guy in the boot, there are soccer shoes. Tell him your size, wear and go. And that's how I left home.
Wow.
And I've never stayed permanently home again since that day until today. So I've gone obviously to visit, but I haven't stayed home permanently since the day I catch.
And for me, it's that courage to say I've made the decision. And this is where I'm going. I don't know where this is, but all I know is I can't revert back, right? Which is so important in most times. And I mean, I always say this, Uti, even when you're just trying to change your life in small ways. Say you are trying a new diet, and sometimes yes, but the point is to remember when you said this is where you go. So at some point, you need to stick to that and be like, I'm really in a move. You know what I mean? I really, really like that. And also for me, it was this is beauty. A lot of people are okay with their lives kind of dictated to. And in this situation, when they play the blame game, they blame God, their parents, the ANC, apartheid. And I always say, well, but you're here now. We are here now. Where do you want to go? Because we can't go back and change things.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's questionable. It's look at that house. You can accept that, my parents and blame them. This is what they've done for us, who they are useless. My mother, here she is telling me on the road for a job at this young age. But what you're not appreciating is, and I've gone back and said this to her to reassure her that there's nothing wrong with she did. Because, it's easy to say, why did she send you away? Anything could have happened. Right?
Why did she let you go?
But we advised at the back of our own knowledge and experience. That's what she was capacitated for. That's the knowledge she had. The best way at the time was you need to go find a job. And I think that's what parents that raised us thought. That we need to go to school perhaps and go and be employed, or we need to go employed. But whenever we've got the energy and the strength and to do it, we are older, we need to work. But it's a frame of the generation they are coming out of, and it's important to recognize that and appreciate that it's not the absence of love, it's not the absence of care, it's the knowledge one possesses at the time. Because someone else can say, but you were young, she was supposed to say, I'll go work and so on. But she didn't.
She didn't, you're right. It's where she was coming from.
That's where she was, what she thought about at the time and so on. And I think we need to appreciate that at some point we need to, deep within ourselves to ask the question, so what? From our own self. And question, then what do I do? Because you either take the option you're in. All she did was to give me an option. It's an option. Go and work. But it's not the only option. Right? It's an option.
Wow.
So you choose which one you want to pursue. You want to say I was young, fine, I was young, but I didn't take that option. Someone maybe did take that option, but it's the option that you...
Because it's the option, John, but also it's the fact that what I'm hearing is that you then decide to take the option. And I think for me, I'm underlining decide. So it's your then decision to go with the route that you want. So you still can't necessarily blame the person who gave you the option. Do you know what I mean?
And that's how life is. That is why I talked about good and bad. Is you are presented with many options. The decisions you make either leads you to what you will constitute as good, but the experience you need, because it shapes you into something. Because without that experience, whether it was good or bad, you don't have the knowledge. So, and hence I say, you need to, I think, pursue what you don't know so that you unlock what it's unknown to you, so that you know, and once you know, it offers you no value because you already know it, and you keep unlocking what you don't know, and so on, and it's a never-ending story. But I think you also indirectly begin to usher a path.
Yes.
Because someone who is perhaps from social media, young, watching my storyline, and thought, because there's this thing that you must have been in Soweto, or you must have been coming from a multiracial school, or you must have been coming from this. The background needed to be like that, because that assumption, when you are disadvantaged or you're coming from a limited exposure, you tend to believe it's true. You look at what you are being fed through media, TV, and you assume that only a certain type of people have got access to certain things. But it's because you do not find a lot of people who you relate to, who are similar like you, have a similar background, have walked from where you are. So I believe that the ability or me pursuing the taxi to go somehow without directly motivating someone should have noticed by now that they need to follow a certain path, which is not easy, and they need to follow their decision-making process, question things, and not be comfortable with the idea that growth will come when you are comfortable, because both don't coexist.
They don't, because it's the illusion that I think it's trying to have an idea of what growth is. And to your point though, is that the role models for that to say, okay, there is a job, and then say, I want to be that. Instead of saying, I like the path that Jabu carved for himself to get where he is. And that means I can carve that path for myself. You know what I mean? I think there is a lack in the problem is there. The problem is that we want the end result. Instead of saying, hey, there is something to the way he got there.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean?
And I think that's for me, I hope, in a very humble manner, and as you rightfully put it, I hope that my path, someone doesn't want to follow it exactly as is, but uses it as a frame to be able to say you can be able to be anything you want to be, irrespective of the circumstances that you're faced with. So it doesn't mean you are a divorcee. It doesn't mean you just lost a child. It doesn't mean you've been fired at work, or you resigned at work, or your business doesn't work. That defines where you will be next, as long as you choose to take the option to continue to pursue what enables you to know what you didn't know. It's all you need to continue to keep knocking. So that's my view, and I hope someone somewhere can pick up from whatever situation they're faced with. Even a very comfortable, good situation, you're happy wherever you are, you need to constantly, deposit your mind into what's next. How do I better this? If it were to not work out, how do I continue to contribute towards making it better? And if it doesn't work, what's next? What's the other option?
And be okay. I think it's that letting go
and be content.
I tried, and it's okay.
Because you don't know when the runway ends anyway.
And it's funny because as human beings, we always say good life is short, but we live as if we are immortal. Because you know life is short, but tomorrow still you're going to do exactly the same thing you did yesterday, exactly the same thinking, without trying to figure out, am I okay where I am? Do I want to do better with my life?
And also, look, what I have to agree with you on is it starts with being appreciating where you are and knowing it's okay. That is what I'm saying, appreciating the good and the bad. When it's bad, appreciate that bad is happening.
And you're here now.
It can't happen to anybody else but you. For you, that bad is for you that time, because
you clearly can deal, you must deal with it.
either someone made decisions to get you there or you made decisions to get yourself there. But appreciate first. Because when you appreciate, I think you learn to come to terms with the current state, but you then question. You then question in order for you to redefine and create other options for you to then decide on how you then pursue whatever options there are.
When you were saying, Hori, that the comfort and growth cannot coexist, it's because if you want to grow, like you've got that nagging thing, whether you're just bettering yourself as a person, or you want to, do amazing, wonderful things, it's the deliberate actions that you then take towards the better.
I mean, let's be fair. What you know you
Yeah.
offers no value to you.
Yeah. Well, it offers some value. Depends context.
Yeah.
If you go to an interview, you're like, I know what I know. Then they're like, experience.
Well, that's what you know.
Yeah.
But I think it doesn't better you. Because you...
No.
Exactly.
Because it's where you are, you already got to stay again. Yeah.
But if you want to get better, exposure is what you need. Exposure of things that are unknown to you, unfamiliar to you. Obviously, you can't walk into every dangerous situation and say, I just want to know. You have to
If
first...
this lion can bite you.
It's options again. Here are options, what do I do, the level of risk I want to take, and how much do you believe in that you're not going back. You have this plastic, I'm not going back. And I remember continuing with the journey, I was signed by that team, I didn't go back. Not that I was in a better state. I mean, the clubhouse was checks, staying there. It was not comfortable, but it was better. It was, I am pursuing something on my own now without having taken the option to be working elsewhere. So let's see how this works. And it evolved into I finish high school, I'm able to use soccer to pay for my studies, and I've always maintained I never wanted to be famous for playing soccer. Well, I never want to be famous at all. I just want consistency and sustainability. So when I was moving from that team, now I'm at tertiary, paying for myself, using soccer. I got many offers which could have been destructive. Like, for example, come play for a team, it's a big team, and so on.
Yeah.
And I've always chosen the idea that no, I'm not moving on my path, getting into a very comfortable state that would make me believe that I've achieved. No, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
All I want is to, well, at the time I identified education as a very, basic thing I think I needed in order to build a very sustainable life for myself. So ended up, always playing for this small team that paid for my fees, and I managed to represent our national team at some point and got scouted and got a scholarship.
Oh, wow, I didn't know this.
Yeah, then I got a scholarship, so we were playing a tournament in South Korea, got a scholarship, and I was offered the Athletic Academy scholarship. So that's what I have always pursued, that I wanted the athletic part of my life to fund my academy. Here I was getting a scholarship. Another time I remember I was very close to signing with Supersport United because I was training with them, so I was very close to signing a contract. And I chose, I want to go study. And I left. But
so you didn't sign because you realized it was not your path, or you thought it would get you to a comfortable state?
I thought it would get me to a comfortable state. Because I
felt mean, comfortable in this regard is levels, right? Because that would have been a very happily comfortable state.
Yeah. So it was never about, for me, it was never about securing anything short term. It was about I'm not going back. Here's the plastic.
Yeah.
I'm not going back into that house. I want my own. I want to one day look at my own and say, this is mine.
But I mean, in that particular regard, in this instance, financially would have been fine to not go back still.
But it's short term because I knew soccer is linked to just like anything, but in this case, your age matters. So it's not.
Okay. So you had
at a certain age, you will not be in your peak, and I don't believe it would have been sustainable for me. Not that I couldn't have played soccer and studied.
Sustainability
but
is like
correct. So when I was offered the scholarship for me, it was more important than being a professional soccer player.
Yeah.
And that's the path I chose. I chose again, which meant I relocated. It was not easy getting there. It's a new country, settle down, and so on. But it's again looking at where is it that I want to be.
Yeah.
And that has always been the mode. As soon as I graduated, I chose, I'm not staying here, there's nothing for me here. Because what am I going to deposit here? Because I'm just going to be a small drop in a very big sea. So I want to go where there's impact. So again, relocating to South Africa, and starting over. And continue to pursue.
Yeah.
And I've been pursuing.
Still pursuing.
I'm still confronting the unknown.
Do you think you'll ever stop?
Not really. I don't think we all need to stop.
No, but do you think you'll ever get to a place where, which I know is technically, because it's ever evolving, but a place where you're like, yes, maybe knowledge-wise or in terms of teaching other people, you can still do that, but like the hustling almost, or the self-awareness journey, because this is very closely tied to self-mastery. So you must know yourself, and you must know where it is, whether it's a destination or path.
So what I've gotten to has been my own, reflection and introspection. Is I've separated the idea of not letting my past to enslave my future goal. When I left, I was running away from this thing and I didn't want it. But that can also enslave you.
Yeah.
Because you are a subject of trying to prove your past that you were never going to go back. So I've had to readjust that as I grow. So it's no longer about me not only wanting to go back, because that on its own, it's you are carried all the time by the same fear we're talking about. So for me, it's about knowledge is important, and I don't think you ever stop learning. And I think you need to continue to, the reason you confront the unknowns is because you want to know. And when you know, you're able to shape something that someone else can look at and see the possibilities. And that's what I believe. I want to be a mirror to someone to be able to look at and see the possibility that if there was a square, now there is a round shape. And if there's a round shape, I can make a triangle. To see the possibility of reshaping, because we never have to stop to recreate, but we can stop to recreate if we don't question. We can stop to recreate if we are not inquisitive about something on the other side. And it's the spirit that I carry that we need to continue to knock enough in order for us to reshape and live.
And then because I'm just thinking of a person who would say to you, that's good for you, but now I've got things that I know for a fact they are holding me back. Questions? Oh. Now I'm going to stay fast. Someone who would say, well, that's great that when you were 16 you could leave, but now I've got people who depend on me, so it's not easy for me to just make a decision on myself and live this life and chase the unknown because I've got responsibilities, and I say this in inverted commas. What do you say to a person?
I personally think whatever option you take, you're still chasing them.
Okay. Let me let you finish. Okay.
Because I think it's all about option. So when the conversation that you have with that person who says is, I can't leave because I've got responsibilities, I've got this, is they are fully conscious and aware of where they are and what perhaps could be another option, but they are choosing not to pursue it at the back of the fact that this other option is viable for them, and that's what they are choosing to pursue. That path they are taking is unknown because it could result in their own delay of whatever they aspire for themselves, with a view to satisfy the people that are around them. Or it could work out either way. It could be long term, the people they cared for, they stayed for, turn around and be better people and so on. So you choose your path.
It's a choice.
I'm not saying follow the path I took. No. I'm saying when you make your choice, understand that you are, in any case, chasing the unknown. So that is why I was saying we are already scared because because we don't know.
And you're like, ish.
Right? We don't know. We've got an element of fear because when you give birth to a child, you don't want to leave the world so that the child. So you're naturally scared. So your decisions are coming from a place of fear. That is why you're overprotective. You know, you are guarding against the space and so on. So I don't think the element runs away.
Yeah.
It's only that you must continue to pursue the spirit of questioning at whatever interval is suited for you, in order to continue to be shaped.
Okay. Now I heard it. I hope you guys heard it. So one of the questions is, what is the best way for African women in the continent to benefit from AITF and play a fundamental part of the automotive industry value chain? There's so many organizations working on the transformation topic. What do you, as a leader, desire to achieve through the AITF to make a meaningful contribution to the transformation agenda?
Sure. I didn't think we were going to talk about work.
No,
it's okay. No. I'm aligned. I think, first of all, there needs to be, I work for a transformation company.
Yeah.
And I think transformation sits well within my core because I've had to transform myself from where I come from. And when I was talking about having the ability to always want to reshape, it comes from a place of I want to enable the environment so that those that aspires to be in particular spaces, in this particular instance in the automotive sector, they can be able to do so. So I fit well within a space that allows me to create a space for others to be able to play into. And I believe women are an integral part of having to role play in what is perceived to be a male-dominant technical area. And it's for that spirit and purpose that we have, looked at how do we bring in, because, transformation broadly is not about Black people or Africans, it's about diversity as well. It's about being able to recognize that there are people, whether disabled, women, youth, people living in the rural areas, how they've been naturally excluded from certain economic structures, and find means and ways in which we can usher a path for them to be able to participate in. So the role that we play as a company is to be able to facilitate that we open a gateway by discussing with our members to offer access to market. Because without access to market, even if we wanted to fund people, it would be difficult for them to have a gateway to provide goods and services. But at the back of it is also important that we offer capacity development. Because a lot of black entrepreneurs, people who have not been in the space, who have not been in the technical space, do not have certain expertise. And I think what we do is to utilize the industry's resources to be able to help those that we want to bring in so that we can get them to be sustainable, they get the necessary skill they need. Because sometimes you get an entrepreneur that is technically inclined, but from a softer elements from the business they don't. You need to be able to offer assistance and support in order to assist them to be all rounders. All of us didn't walk into spaces understanding and knowing, so we want to borrow from those that have the knowledge. But I think more important to begin to forward look into what is the type of a product that the sector is going to be looking at building in the future, and look at entrepreneurs and focus on research and development and product development so that we can begin to forward look and get them to participate in future projects. Because if you look at the product today that has been made and you know about a car, there are certain elements of the car and components in the car that will not be in the future.
Yeah.
The car is becoming more connected. The car is becoming more with electronic parts than mechanical parts. You may not have an engine one day, it could be battery operated. So you want to prepare the playing field so that you enable that those that have been technically excluded are able to be empowered with knowledge so that they understand the future I think changes of what their sector is going to look like. So for me is to enable the environment, allow that we negotiate with our members, with the OEMs for the entrepreneurs to have a gateway to be able to participate. And women are very central to that particular agenda because they were technically excluded in what is called the May. I hope I've answered.
I also hope so. But to your point, I was talking to my daughter the other day, and I was showing her a picture of the team, our team. And I'm like, what is female kind of just females in the company? So she looks at me and she's like, so, why is this a big thing? And for me, I appreciated that because we're basically starting the newer generation to show them that this is possible. But it was important for me to make her understand where we're coming from and why this is a big feat. So I think what you guys are doing is going to be very amazing, especially if you're talking future, because then you're not almost boxing automotive industry. Like in the future, there could be robotics that plug into the cars. So if there's females who are playing in that ground, they can start thinking about how they can work in there. I hope you got your answer. The next one is there are many young people who have taken the leap like you did in that home, but did not succeed in their chasing. What did you do fundamentally different to get to where you are?
Well, I don't think it ever stops. And it was not a perfect, sailing upward trajectory.
Yeah.
It's almost up and down. And I still believe it's still up and down.
Yeah.
It never stops.
Yeah.
So, because it also depends on what you define in term success.
Yes.
My definition of success is not the reward I get out of doing something. It's a measure of how well I've enabled my path in order that I feel I've learned something that I didn't know before.
Yeah.
Because for me, I think I'm in a better space than I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything drastically that has changed or shifted which I measure in the form of material, is because there's certain knowledge I didn't have. Whether it was through a very bad experience or a good experience, all of it is shaped. And I think you can never have it's just smooth sailing upward trajectory.
Because you don't grow.
Because you don't grow.
Yeah.
So you constantly need to go up and down in different phases. There's a graph, that I've seen lately where they show a learner climbing and saying, so there's a high school labeling, and when they get there, they say, oh, thank God I'm here. And then by the time they get over, they realize there's life. So it never really stops. And I don't think it needs to stop. I think even when you are 50, you are 60, you are 70, you need to continue to go up and down, because if each stage of your life you enter into allows for you to be able to experience it for what it is.
Yeah.
As long as you are bringing with the previous experience that has capacitated you to be able to make decisions that allows for you when you are down to continue to come back strong. I think it helps. So it's not, the absence of down. It's the
acknowledgement and then deciding to move forward.
Yes. And acknowledging that you've got the capacity because you learned before.
Yeah.
You've got it.
You've done it.
To do it better.
Yes.
And
now you've got the knowledge.
correct.
You're right.
Exactly. And that's what I think.
So I actually I like it. I was thinking of something that said in here, now it escapes me. It escapes me. But I think for me the biggest point was that you don't stop. It's two things, sorry. It's defining your own success. And I think it speaks again to the fact that don't look at where you jump is, look at the framework where you put. Because if maybe one of those kids was trying to be a Ujaba and they're like, now I can't get them because I'm crazy. They haven't defined what success is for them. And most of the time you don't reach success because we've also defined what success is according to everyone around you.
Yes.
For me, success would be happy. Like for me personally, if I am like ecstatic every day, I wake up, I'm happy, I'm good. That would be, where I am.
Yes.
So yeah.
And I think an appreciation of, the reason I believe unlocking assist others is because then you realize you were told the sky is the limit and someone comes and say it's the beginning, right?
And you're like, wait, huh?
So, but that's what you need in order for us to realize, it doesn't end, because I think we limit our capabilities in that we believe there is an end to this thing.
Yes.
And this is what narrows the road, right? Because you think once I have a job, I work, and then I can provide for my family with cars, we are fine.
I'm done.
But there are certain things that, that shapes who you are. That if you perhaps look within and ask the question, what is it that I really want and can deposit into the sphere, is you realize that there's so many things you want to do, and the idea of being comfortable with what you have would not be enough, because it's not about you now going to becoming something big, like pursuing a career path and saying I'm going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
But it's about your fulfillment as a person, feeling that you've added into the sphere, And I think that's how I see it. Like I said, it's continue to reshape this thing. If we make it square, make it round, and create another shape.
Because more often the end is actually a better beginning. More often. Okay, last question. Hi Jabu. You seem to have a very good grasp and understanding of yourself. What are your thoughts on leading self before you can lead others? How would you summarize your leadership style? That's the last question we're taking.
Yeah. So, for me, leadership principles is, first of all, there's an element of humility. We are all humans before we're human beings. And I think I've always said when you move from a place of humility you don't see, you can see widely because you allow yourself to take, right? Taking in, you allow yourself to be led when you need to be led.
Yes.
When you move from a place of arrogance, you are blindsided. You can't see the blind spots.
No.
Because you are focusing on everything about you, and this is where you're going only. But I think for me, when I say I'm pursuing the unknowns, for me it's how I want to be able to lead. It's my leadership principle, in that I want to allow myself to move with humility. That way I'm able to take in things, and I have awareness to can pick up things that I don't know. I'm aware, I'm conscious that I have a person whom I need to appreciate. Doesn't matter who they are in the society, I will get something from them. That is what continues to deposit into my growth as part of the unknowns, because you think that someone needs to be there for you to look up to them.
Yes.
But someone could have been there and is now here, and they can give you the greatest lesson on how to avoid getting there and back.
Yeah.
So you need to always, I think, move from a place of humility in order to allow yourself to consume the knowledge you don't have from anybody.
Well said. I think that's like a beautiful wrapping up. I think we're out of time. I could be wrong. Thank you so much. This has been so amazing, and I think so many nuggets. But for me, you sitting, I can almost imagine sitting and looking at your house and saying, "This is not me." Like, it's so amazing because I always say, my kids think I'm crazy, but I always tell them all these things they don't understand, and hopefully they'll understand later. Or take stock every day to be like, even the clothes, this is not who I am. This house, this is not who you are, Then who is left is who you are. And are you happier today than you were yesterday? That's all that matters. So I think it's so important what you say, Guti. Just continue going, continue finding out new things, and continue being uncomfortably comfortable. Be comfortable with what you don't know, and fear and change, because it's only good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In the space and time of viewership, I appreciate it all the years. Hopefully, I will be able to deposit something that can assist someone. Another time, I'm also happy to be on the other side to continue to learn as you continue with the conversations. But I appreciate the platform to share.
Thank you. And thank you everybody again for joining us. We really, as he's saying, hope that you have gotten something out of this. I always say that for me, this is a learning as well. So I hope that we have deposited. I'm stealing. I hope we've deposited. Have a lovely afternoon and a beautiful 1st of November tomorrow. Hi, it's October. October, single it for November. I feel like this year
2020 has been here.
we're good. Thank you. Bye.